The internet's really had a big impact on the hobby in a number of different ways, and probably what it's done most of is expand the lines of communication. Before the internet, there was an informal network. Now those networks are much more formalized and they're much broader and much larger. When we started kingsnake.com, there were a few reptile people online. Now, today, we actually have customers in our classified system that are out in the field in Africa posting classifieds and posting messages from their handheld cell phones to our servers in Austin, Texas. It's immensely changed how the hobby and how the industry has viewed itself.
We get email every day from places like Brazil or South Africa or Indonesia, and places where that used to be considered not part of the quote developed world, and now through email these people are in contact with us.
When we started our website in 1997, there were 50 or 60 of my close friends that were using it. Today, that's expanded to somewhere around 500,000 people every month viewing 50 million pages of our website every month.
It's changed the dynamic between an exporting country that the people may have reptiles in the jungle there and not see any value in them, to now they can go online and they can see, wow, there's people in Europe and in the United States and in Japan who sell these things for a lot of money. So I think that has spurred a lot of interest in these countries.
The internet's basically turned out to be the great leveler. It allows a large company and a small hobbyist to have the same kind of presence, espouse the same kind of ideas, or learn the same kind of information. It really has leveled the playing field for everybody. Now a 14-year-old can get information at the speed of electrons, whereas before, to find out information on how to take care of their reptile pet, they'd have to search through books or go to clubs or attend meetings and symposiums. Now that information is there at the click of a finger.
And so we may see, instead of import shipments from Brazil like there was 40 years ago, where it was a bunch of wild-caught boas and iguanas from the Amazon, in the future we may see shipments from Brazil that are all captive-born animals.
It was a lot of work to learn the things that we've learned, and these people are learning from our years of experience without having to go through trials and troubles that we've had.
Are you looking for a new pet? Do you have a pet you'd like to sell or even give away? Don't go past Australian Pet Pages. Advertising your pet on Australian Pet Pages is free. So get your pet on the net on Australian Pet Pages. www.petpages.com.au.
These animals are all new in my life. I didn't even have pets in my apartment until 1996, and it started with a cat, and one thing led to another. I wanted fish for the cat to watch, and getting fish led to getting newts, which led to joining the Chicago Herpetological Society. And then I wanted a leopard gecko, and before you knew it, I even had snakes. As a clinical psychologist, I often recommend pet therapy. I work with patients with trauma disorders. I often want them to work with animals when they're at home. And dogs and cats aren't always the right pet because family members may have allergies, or they do. And recently I recommended a patient get a bearded dragon because it was just going to be the right animal for her based on allergies and space and what she could handle. One day I was rushing from the vet where I had taken my leopard geckos in, and I had to get to my office to see a patient. I knew it was someone who was going to enjoy seeing the animals, and she was down that day, and I said, I have a little treat for you. And she loved it. She was so excited to see those animals. So these animals can play a useful role in my practice.
My whole life I grew up around snakes and frogs and things like that, and lizards. And basically my dad got me into learning, catching these animals, and we used to have them in captivity, and the snakes would breed, and we would hatch the eggs and things like that, and we would release the offspring, and it really just, I developed a passion at a very, very young age. But once I went away to college, and learned that there's actually a professional side to this, and someone could actually go out and make a living doing this. Natural History Museum job is absolutely amazing to me. I think it is the greatest job anyone could ever have. Basically, we get to go out in the field, we get to collect a lot of amphibians and reptiles, we get to bring them back here and catalog them and write scientific research papers on them. I mean, it really is a lot of fun. Of course, it's a lot of work, but staying up until 2 a.m., 3 a.m., catching geckos off a wall, hey, I've always dreamed about doing something like this. For instance, one of the species that I'm working with right now is the Madagascar leaf-nosed snake, Langaha madagascariensis. And this is a really cool species right here. It's the most sexually dimorphic species that we know of in the snake world. This species is renowned for its sexual dimorphism. Females have a leaf nose and males have a spear-shaped nasal extension. And as you can tell, this is a female right here. And this is one of my colleagues over here. This is Coleman. He's a graduate student, and he's putting away some large specimens into the big Colossus tanks. Coleman, show him what you're working with. What is it?
This is a big alligator snapping turtle.
It's kind of neat.
I'll put him here. This is just one of tens of thousands of specimens that we have here in the museum. This particular one is an adult alligator snapping turtle. They're from the northern areas of Florida, from the rivers in northern Florida. And this poor fella here, as you can see his head, met his end tragically by a bullet. And, well, that was unfortunate, but fortunately he did make it to the museum, where he is now available for science. Take a look at this. This is the tongue lure on these turtles. This is a little lure that they wiggle to attract fish. And as the fish come in thinking that they're going to eat a worm, this turtle snaps down and grabs the fish, and they don't have any idea what happened. If this turtle was alive, then I would be in big trouble. This would have no problem biting my finger off, and I would have to learn to write with my left hand after that.